Good afternoon. We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. And those of you who watch the calendar and count the passage of time, today is our day. Today is 18 of May 2025. And we are quite pleased to be speaking with you once again on the precise 37th anniversary of our adventure into what you call your world. So welcome one and all. We were here yesterday giving you some insight into some very important things to know about your own personal lives. And we're going to continue today. We have a few surprises in store for ourselves and for our listening audience. And yesterday, just to give a bit of review, we talked about how we first came across our vehicle and the various synchronicities and events that led up to her calling us in and intending to become a clear channel. And we appeared just when the sun is approaching the Pleiades, or conjunct it. Conjunct means it's in the same alignment, the same position, same degrees. It may be separated by many parsecs in space, but the same degree in what you would call the 360-degree circle, or the way that you figure out the location of things on Earth and, of course, in the cosmos. So today is it, and we understand that one of the most important messages we delivered to you yesterday was something that is emblazoned at Delphi. Delphi being a very ancient oracular center. And that would mean that oracular centers, where those who were considered oracles, mostly women, would lead a certain life sequestered from the rest of society in general, and they had their rituals and all the things that they were dedicated to. But these women in general were able to go into what you call the spiritual spectrum of existence, non-physical reality. And they were able to also tap into the inner reality of certain prominent people, or everyday people who came or made pilgrimage to visit these oracles. We talked about how at one time it appeared there were 12 very powerful oracular centers around the Mediterranean, in the Middle East, into northern Africa, all the way over to Libya. Our vehicle has visited a number of these sites, and actually after visiting Delphi back in 1988, the next day we popped in, just as the sun was conjunct the Pleiades. And as we mentioned, our vehicle was charmingly clueless as to the larger precise engineering of timing. Timing is very, very important. This is how you can figure out where you are, where you've come from, where you are going. But it's also important when you look back at certain situations, and when you study astrology and the movements of the planets in the heavens, and then to find there's an alignment personally, a coordination personally in your life. Yes, there are collective things that happen on the planet, but when there is a personal alignment, it is quite profound. So, these are some of the things we want to remind you of Know thyself. Spend time figuring out who you are. Sometimes just a walk in the woods, or gardening, mowing the lawn, cooking, painting, doing creative aspects, bringing beauty forward. These are all things that allow you to find the inner world. You don't have to go into silent meditation all the time, but to make space in your life, all of you, it's going to become crucial. Not just important, but crucial. Because as we mentioned yesterday in the channeling that it was called Great Expectations, and today we are doing part 2 of Great Expectations. There are many things that may come out of nowhere in the second half of the Wowing 20s. This year, the year 2025, you have, the astrology is moving. You have the planets, the outer planets, they have essentially, beginning with Pluto, they have left the water earth signs. And when you are in water, it's emotional. When you are in earth signs, it is, earth is not so easy to move. It is steady, it is grounding, it is reliable and loyal, and can be very stubborn at times. And of course, water can fill the container that it's applied to, but water can create floods and overwhelm you. Water can stir up your emotions in such a way that you react instead of respond. And people with a lot of planets in Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, these can be very challenging aspects of self. And air, of course, is very mental. That would be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And of course, the fire signs, well, you know what they are. They are always wanting to stir things up, to start things, and you need starters, and you need people to stir things up and to keep things going. And these elements, as they are called, as they are defined in a way of looking at reality, simply facilitate each of you in explaining to yourself who you are, what influences you, what forces in the cosmos color your life, what forces point to directions in the near past, the far past, to show you very subtly what you are here to accomplish, what you are here to do, what you are destined to fill out. But speaking of fate and destiny, we do want to remind you that you are never stuck with having to deal with a situation in a prescribed, karmic, punishing manner. You have volition. You have the recognition that there's goodness in all people, including yourselves. And when you focus on that idea that everyone, even the bad ones, even the criminalities and the banditos, at some point there is some goodness there. But then life's choices, your destiny, your genealogy, perhaps your geography, your environment, where you live, what the influences are. But you always have a choice to do good, and to be good, and to get good. And these times, as we describe them, are exceptionally karmic, especially the last 6 months. And so think back to the autumn of last year, and all the hullabaloo and the confusion, not only in the United States, but all around the world. There were a lot of forces pitting against each other. Mindset is to create equality among all people. Force, equal outcomes. So there's no such thing as equal outcome. One can say you are created in the mind of a creator, and you are endowed with inalienable rights, especially in the United States, which is exceptional in the guarantees that at least your papers, your Bill of Rights and your constitutions have laid forward. And just a bit of a reminder, next year in the USA, you will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Think about those words. A declaration of independence from tyranny. The same issues are afoot in the world today. And people the world over are being compelled to make a choice to follow ideologies. Progressive ideology is being pushed around the globe. It encourages a victim mindset, a sense of, well, you are powerless, and only the state or the government can rectify things for you. And so the more that you give up your own power, you abdicate your humanity, your mental acuity, your spark of divine connection, you abdicate it all to a system that has been taking over the world for the last 150 years, 175 years. A system that's called Marxism. Those people who knew Karl Marx and his colleagues and those who followed, they all know that they made deals with the devil, that they reversed goodness, that they encouraged allegiance not to any sort of spirituality or divine spark of connectedness to a mind of a creator, all that is prime creator, spirituality. No, it erases it all. So you are today facing many, many, many choices. And this has been the case for quite some time. But the tides are turning. Sweeping changes are overcoming everyone. The planets are moving into different signs. They are leaving the earth and water signs. They are moving into air and fire. Very different mindset will take over the planet. Earth and water may be more stable, a bit more emotional, but air and fire, well, the fires like to start things, and the airs are big mental thinkers. So you are energetically shifting gears in your personal lives, and you are seeing it perhaps in your families, your neighborhood, your villages, your states. And there's a great divide because many people have abdicated their humanity to investing in a barrage, an endless barrage of doomsday and inevitable failure and confusion and the downfall of humankind. And of course, this is one great big propaganda, one great big indoctrination. Because when you want to conquer, you want to rule others, there are many, many ways to do so. Vikings of long ago would just show up in their seaworthy ships and boats, and they would move in and whack a few heads off and thrust with their swords and create by force a new way of society defining itself. Vikings are simply one aspect of invading forces that took over or were compelled to leave one homeland and to go discover another. The Vikings long ago ventured off to Greenland. Certainly they left their polar regions, the Scandinavian areas, and they went to Iceland and Greenland, and from Greenland it was a hop, skip, and a jump, sort of, a bit of rowing and all of that, to come into Newfoundland, into North America. Years later, long time later, 500 years or more, it was reported that the Templars did the same thing. Once they were persecuted by the Catholic Church, and they were hounded down, Jacques de Molay, 1307 or some such, the Templars ran from Europe. They hid some of the artifacts that they found in the city of Jerusalem. And when they first went to Jerusalem in the early 1100s, they were there on a crusade. They were also going to reclaim the Holy Land from those that they considered the infidel, the non-believers. Each side can consider the other side the non-believer. And this is another way to keep you divided as people. And it's as old as time. Many of the issues that are currently at play on the planet have to do with unfinished business from the Atlantean days. And there's all manner of speculation as to the window of Atlantis. But let us say this. From our point of view, you had the Anunnaki, those who came from their planet X, called Nibiru. They came here led by the Voyager and the deposed leader Alalu. Alalu. And Alalu was escaping the wrath of Anu. Anu was 445,000 years ago. Anu had a wrestling match with Alalu. And it is interesting that the term wrestling is used. We'll go back to that in a moment. But Alalu was thrown out as the long-term leader of the Anunnaki, and their leaders would last sometimes a million years, 500,000 years, 2 million years. They live in a different type of time than you do. But it's all coalescing and coming alive on earth now. Now. The Christians will tell you you are in the end times. Others will tell you that you are rapidly approaching tribulation. And there's all manner of prophecies and whatevers. And is this Messiah going to show up? Is God going to appear? Is Jesus going to reappear? Are the devils going to reappear? Will it be the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and the demons? And no, it's enough to make one a little bit nutty. And that's aside from all the political shenanigans and lies and corruption. So these are uncertain times. You are in a privileged position, friends, and you put yourselves here. You chose when to be born. You chose who and what you would hang out with, your genealogy, the time of your birth, the position of the planets that would best assist you when you went to look to understand more of who you are. And not everyone, you know, really wants to understand more of who they are. Many people in today's world fill themselves up with so many distractions that to have even a moment of silence, 5 minutes of silence, it's too much. It's too much. They will not allow that amount of quietude so that they could hear the voice of within, the echo of their own spiritual plan, the spiritual path, the soul speaking. And this is all by design. And we remind you, there is always a way to navigate through and around things. And the tyrannies of the past have been much, much greater than they are today. People would have their heads lopped off, their hands cut off, their bodies drawn and quartered. They would be thrown into dungeons and prisons with no water, no sanitary facilities, and people would rot and waste away. Such was the fear of the power of authority, of religion. If you dared to say that you got divine inspiration, that you saw something in the heavens, an orb, an angelic figure, a craft, or if you said that you knew what plants to use, that somehow the animals communicated with you, or that nature communicated with you. There was a time in world history, at least 500 years, where you were penalized, you were tortured in the Inquisitions. And later, not only were they burning Jacques de Molay at the stake, auto de filet, but later on they picked up the practice in the United States. You have a long history of not so many people, but a very bad memory of the Salem witch trials from Massachusetts, when all it took was one person accusing someone of dressing a certain way, or seeing them outside at the full moon, or perhaps applying an herbal poultice, or any of the things that were making people mentally unhinged and totally in fear. And then accusing others, and then feeling by accusing others that they themselves would be saved. These are just some reminders. You all have memories of living at different times. We are in a loop of time, our anniversary, and it is a good loop of time. But there are loops of time when there's deeply tragic issues that have seared the soul of an individual, of a family, of a village, of a state, of a country, of a world. And life and consciousness are about healing. And consciousness exists in all things. It is not confined to the human body. It is not confined to biological life. Consciousness is the raw material of existence. And one could say it is going to predate and post-date any kind of physical reality that is out there. Even if your entire multiverse were to be destroyed, consciousness would still exist, because it is the constant. And so your consciousness that you own, that's part of you, that's in your body, to have greater expectations, great expectations for the times in which you live and the potentials that are waiting to unfold in the second half of the Wowing 20s. There are destinies that, civilizations agree to take on. Some of these destinies may be to redo the past, to recreate things from long ago, in modern terms, so to speak, so that you can rethink things. Sometimes when you have a long period between lifetimes, or you have a long period, say many millennia, between the end of one civilization and then you find yourself living in another civilization entirely, there's often a collective destiny. And these things, they come around so that the collective of people choose a different path. They choose goodness. They choose to heal. They choose, sometimes without even knowing it, they choose to follow something that gives them, on a soul level, greater sense of accomplishment, greater sense of victory, of making the right choices, and of being true and loyal to your own humanity. And by that we mean not doing what the Anteans were obsessed with doing, which was engineering nature. Sometimes there are things in nature that you can make an improvement on. You have plants that people make hybridizations out of, better characteristics, or it may produce in greater abundance. And these things, they can seem to be harmless, but if you do too much of it, it can completely throw the whole living library and the biological integrity of life completely off course. This is what the Atlanteans did. They got carried away. The Anunnaki chief engineer was Enki, E-N-K-I. And Ki, as we've mentioned before, was Enki's mother. And Ki is also another name for Earth. Enki's father was the chief god Anu, who overthrew Alalu. And when Alalu came here 445,000 years ago, he redeemed himself by flying through the solar system, your local solar system, passing through the asteroid belt, which was called later on the Hammered Bracelet. Some say he nuked his way through this Alalu, and he brought nukes to Earth. And the story is quite simply to remind you that he landed in the Persian Gulf area when the Gulf in those days was much lower. The water's higher today. And he found gold laying around, so the story says. And if you've noticed and followed the markets today in your economically inflated world, you see that in a mere few years, gold has skyrocketed from under 2,000 to now it's getting up there, well over 3, and up and down, and many expect it to go to 5, and some even speculate that it will go to 10,000. In the USA, you have a place called Fort Knox. And on this Fort Knox, it is supposedly the storehouse of where all of the gold is kept, although there's all kinds of rumors about whether it's there or not. And Richard Nixon, bit of a character there, he took you off the gold standard, and of course inflation began, and all kinds of turmoil. The dollar became the petrodollar, and so it was oil that backed the US dollar versus gold reserves. There's now all kinds of scuttlebutt that's saying that it's just like way back in the 1930s when gold was elevated in price, that the governments of the world are all buying up gold, whether it is China, Russia, India, now the USA has joined in, many European countries. Not only is gold invaluable to the visiting extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki, but also you are pending an Anunnaki greater influence on your planet. And if you have gold reserves, then you have bargaining power with these visiting Anunnaki. And Alalu, as we said, he got back in the better graces with his co-Nibiruans by finding gold, because the planet Nibiru was desperate for gold. And as the history shows, great mining expeditions took place for 150,000 years. The miners rebelled. They were exhausted, and they no longer wanted to work in the mines of Africa, other places as well. But Africa was considered to be the great opportunity to mine gold. But it was all over the Middle East. It was all over South America, Mexico, North America. We remind you that the symbol for gold on the periodic table is AU. And of course, the Anunnaki, ANUNNAKI. So even the periodic table and gold takes you back to the ancient creator gods, and who really believe that they are the owners of Earth. And this brings you to the current era about all kinds of people who believe they own the Earth. Is it this group that owns Africa? Is it this group that owns America? Who owns South America? Who owns Australia, Antarctica? Who owns the great Asian landmass? Your world history is full of ups and downs, of victories, of conquering, of incarnating groups coming back again and again to explore their humanity, to contemplate their goodness, but also so many times to be tempted and to be enticed into cheating, lying, stealing. We are making that quite harmless sounding, but you know how it goes. When the dark forces come in, especially if they are coming in to take over humankind from the dimensions, you are easily influenced, friends. And you are tempted throughout life. And yes, when you are children, you are learning some basic morality, not to hit, not to swear, not to fight, not to cheat, to lie, to steal. Today those are mild transgressions. Very, very, very dark forces have penetrated your world. The same issues that came into the Atlantean culture, and even the best and brightest could not control them, because they enticed Enki and his progeny and the workers to get more daring, to engineer more things. If you can think of it, why not do it? Make it. Blend humans with animals. Blend everything together. If you are a biologist and you are here at this place that is an incredible wealth of the living library, then let's say that those who came here were tempted to outdo the creators, and they paid a very, very severe price. Sometimes life forms were created purely for sexual pleasure. And the more bizarre, the more perverse, more outlandish, the more excited people became. Today, now you are dealing with some of this cleanup. In the news right now, well, you've had the Epstein issues. Mr. Epstein there was, looks like he his life was ended in prison in 2019. And he was good friends and frolicked with all the world leaders, and he enticed them into sexual situations where they could be filmed and then blackmailed, of course, and all the monies that they gave to Mr. Epstein, which he was a Israeli asset, there's no doubt about that. He was a CIA asset. He was creating what many would call control files on world leaders. And he was basically pre-pigeon. We've said that our friends, the Pidgeys, their job is to spy on world leaders. And you know, we keep up with good Pidgey reports and things, but Mr. Epstein there, his job was to spy on world leaders, to compromise them, and then to blackmail them. And one of the most outspoken persons, a woman named Virginia Giuffre, we are close to it, was murdered recently. Oh, they say she committed suicide. It's always suicide when someone that is involved with the big players of the planet and the dark forces there, oh, well, they just jumped out of the building 27 stories, or they just hung themselves or shot themselves, or again, another hanging in prison, and then people just nod their heads and they don't know what to do. So this woman who was a sex slave as a teenager, she's now deceased, mother of 3, died in Perth, Australia. Our vehicle was there once years ago. Let's talk about the middle of nowhere. Wow. It's in the western end of Australia, very far from everything. But also parallel to all this, you have all this scuttlebutt. Well, you have the new disruptors, the new sheriffs, and they are going to expose it all and bring it to the public. Well, you don't hold your breath, as they used to say long ago. But now you have the Ditty trial. They're not allowed to be on camera because it is in New York State and no public availability. And probably a good thing, because, as people are saying, it is beyond dark, beyond perverse, beyond disgusting. Sexual perversion. Likely there's things that have not yet come out, and they'll do their very best never to bring them out. But when you misuse your sexuality, as the Atlanteans did, engineering nature, creating sexual play toys for the pure gratification and more forces from the invisible realm, and many, many good forces in the spiritual realms, but there are also many, many dark forces. And because you can't see them, you can sense them. But most people cannot see the dark forces and the good forces. And this is part of what it is to be human. To be in your senses, in your biology, in your body, and to have to figure it out. And when you abdicate your senses for a machine, or television or drugs or whatever you are doing to escape your own humanity, you can't figure out what's going on. Some people escape their humanity by studying, by becoming the biggest expert in one thing or another, and they have a degree in this and another degree in this and accolades here and there, and it's all book learning, and they forget about the inner world. And so when you forget about the inner world, in times such as today, it's very, very difficult to understand what's going on. The intrusion of AI and its pending ubiquitous takeover of the advanced worlds. Advanced world meaning that the worlds that have more money. Now, our great expectations for you, that the time has come, the time is ripe. And you may look around and say, well, where's everyone? It appears that I'm sort of alone. Where are all the troops? Where are all the players? Where are all those metaphysical thinkers? Now they're there, but everyone is a bit in hiding right now. And because of the astrology, everyone's a bit alone. This is when you pass your greatest test, you know. You must come up with the answers yourself. And so this is a tremendous time of opportunity, but it's also a time when probabilities are crashing together in the greater world view. You have economic turmoil. You have more money printed than ever before. There's a lot of turmoil going on the planet, but there's urgency. And understand, when the world leaders and those who have a lot of money, when they understand something larger than themselves and they say it's urgent, you don't get to know the details. But in the oil-rich Middle East, there are trillionaires. But what is it to be a trillionaire? 1,000 billions. 1,000 billions. And there are individuals who have that kind of money, and they don't know what to do with it. And so there's a need now. They're being appealed to put the money into the AI race. This is going to be the undoing of humankind. We cannot emphasize this enough. Yes, it is an inevitable destiny that you must pursue. And perhaps it will not be the complete undoing. And perhaps in the next year or two, there will be many awakenings. And perhaps in the next year or two, there will be what you call divine interventions, warning from the orbs, from the teachers that come through the dimensions, that want to uplift you and keep you on course towards your own humanity. And these are going to be extremely, extremely pivotal and challenging times. And so our great expectations have to do with each of you activating something that you've never quite accessed before. Some divine spark of intelligence, of consciousness that is, well, ready to volunteer as the times call for it. In other words, the best may call themselves forward as the times challenge you to figure out your own humanity and to steer a course into a new world. And as we've said over and over again, there are many timelines, many probabilities. And as you think, even in your own quiet moments, you create probable worlds. Your thoughts connect with others who think. And you may never meet them, but your thoughts are friends with one another. Some may live in France, and some may live in Greenland, and others may live in Tierra del Fuego, Uruguay, Mexico, Indonesia, Australia. And you may be thinking and aligning with the thoughts of others all around the world. And your thoughts build thought forms. And these thought forms are fueled by your belief in goodness. Or on the contrary end, your belief in corruption. But we are focusing on goodness. And we are saying that it does not take a larger force of goodness to overcome a very large force of darkness. These are the ways of war. Our troops have greater advantage than yours. We have superior weapons. We have greater missiles. Our warriors are super soldiers. They heal on the battlefield. They've been genetically engineered. Whatever nonsense you have been pursuing, and it's all Atlantean. You're going to find divine inspiration coming to those of you of good heart, of good mind, those who are willing to stay in balance. So these are very, very important things for you to be aware of, to consider. Saturn is at the very, very end of Pisces. It's hovering there 28, 29 degrees. You have, we believe it leaves Pisces on the 26th of May. Today is May 18. And so these next number of days, very, very, very important. You will think back on them. You will think back on the last 6 months. And you will see that you were being prepared for something that you can't quite tell what's coming. And it's a good thing. Yes, you all are psychic, and anything in Pisces can bring about a spiritual renewal, a psychic activation. But if you could read everything that potentially was coming at you from the future, you might select certain things and think that it is all preordained or predestined, and that there's nothing you could do about it. And see, part of the brilliance of and the excitement of your humanity is to be a bit ignorant in the moment. Now, you don't want to be so ignorant that you can't read and you can't figure out how to balance a checkbook. But you want to be in the moment to understand the glory of your body, the rightness of your body. And the more you are willing to like yourself above money, job, world, duty, the more you can look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and say, I'm with you. You are mine this lifetime, and I am going to be loyal to you. That kind of self-support will activate the body. Now, we've been teaching this for 37 years. Love thyself. Know thyself. But you are at a big, big turning point. In the next 5 years, the second half of the wowing 20s, you cannot even imagine the choices you are going to have to make. And we are talking far beyond world politics. We are talking a world meeting its Atlantean self and being enthralled and thrilled and exhilarated, euphoric at the potentials of what some of this new technology will bring you. But it is an illusion. It is Atlantean dreaming without thinking far enough ahead to understand there will be dire consequences if you do too much genetic engineering of nature. So these are things to think about, but let's get to some of the surprises. So we have a guest here with us today. She's been very quiet, quieter than a mouse, as we would say, and it is Michelle. Would you like to say hello, Michelle?
Yes, hello, and it is an honor to be here and to be among UPs, especially on this very, very special day.
Well, that is very nice of you to say. Michelle has been our student at the Moon for a few years. She would say, Michelle, this is Michelle, I am a Cancer. Just like Mr. Khan is a Cancer, Michelle is a Cancer, our vehicle's a Cancer, but right now we are in Taurus. And the P's are, of course, we are Tauruses. So, but Michelle, she's going to watch the beeper, and she's going to engage in a few questions with us, and eventually we'll get to more of the Pigeon Patrol report. We've got a few scoops there. We want to give you some heads up on Peanuts and Popcorn. They've been up to it with new products and all of that. But we know there is a special treat for us. Yes?
Yes, there is.
And it's been sitting here, and we are going to put our big Herkimer diamond down and hold out our hands because it is our anniversary. Our vehicle arranged it, and here we are with a glass of champagne. Aha, voila, as they say. When we have a sip of champagne, it is always to toast to the success of the Hughes. So
yes.
Here we go. To your success, dear humans.
Yes.
There's the bubbles. All right, very good. It's the bubbles that we love. Even though our vehicle at times have thought to give us some other bubbles, the champagne bubbles. All right, so Michelle, we've given the intro. We have a lot more to say, but do you want to comment on anything that we have said so far, or bring up a question for us to represent the listening public?
Of course, yes. Thank you, Pease. Thank you. It's a lot to absorb. I must, as always, wonderful guidance and much appreciated. And if I had a question, it would be when you were talking about the gold. And
the gold, yes.
The gold. And it's interesting of note to know that the president, the Trumpster, is taking us into the golden age.
Yes, this is quite fascinating now.
Yes.
Because he went to the Middle East and he is presenting to all the sheiks and princes and all of these, he is inviting them to come into the golden age. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you are going to talk about X is always the planet X, the Anunnaki. If you are going to talk about gold, it is always the Anunnaki. So Trump, in his knowing, and he's connected tremendously behind the scenes, and he has a team that backs him. He's not at the head of the pyramid. Now, no one is really politically. There's always backers, and sometimes dimensional backers and all of that. But he's letting everyone know that you are entering a golden age. And this is sort of a subtle way of saying the Anunnaki are returning. What did you get out of it?
Interesting. I really didn't know. I know that gold has been talking about and the golden age. Are we returning to what we were once familiar with? What we once knew, back to an era, but yet he's taking us forward. So it was hard for me to discern, which is a key word, what his plans are.
If there is a word that is defining these times, it would be uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And again, your world leaders they feel very, very, very pressured about extraterrestrials. And you notice it's not a subject in the news at all. Although, we wanted to bring this up, that last fall, there seemed to be a lot of scuttlebutt. Was it in the early fall? We forget when. But suddenly people were seeing orbs everywhere. Balls of light, as they would be called. This is what the orbs are referred to, balls of light. And, well, our vehicle has encountered the orbs many a time. She has photos of herself in orbs, and there's been all kinds of pictures that have been taken, that people take a photo and later on they see little balls in them, little orbs. These have been around for years, so these things do exist. The paranormal world is quite real. And the interesting thing about the orbs is that they're appearing everywhere. And sometimes they alter the weather, they alter consciousness. If you study some of the apparitions that occurred over time, there's a man called Ingo Swann. He wrote a book called The 20 Apparitions of Mary. We've mentioned this before. And that's simply a generic. But what he was delineating was for hundreds of years, these orbs would appear. And they would appear sometimes to children, sometimes in the country. They've even appeared all over Long Island. And these orbs would often, a female figure who would warn the people about something. And it's occurring today. It's current in modern time. You have a number of contactees who see these orbs. Sometimes they are large orbs. They look as large as the moon or the sun. Sometimes they are teeny itty bitty. And they could be vehicles that other forms of consciousness utilize to come onto your world to help you through difficult times. After the events of 9/11, which were quite tragic, and they were an inside job, there's no doubt about it, people took photos after the tragedy of 9/11, and they made memorials and flowers and all kinds of things, and all over New York, and photos were taken, and sometimes in the memorial, flowers and flags and photos and names, it'd be swarmed by little orbs, medium-sized orbs. Little, we mean ping pong. Medium, we mean grapefruit size. Bigger might be basketball size. And they could see nothing, but the photos would show it all. And these orbs were forms of consciousness that were coming to help heal and help soothe the trauma that the humans have been through. Not only are you humans in the body helping to create the great rift and the wound of engineering nature into darkness from the Atlantean times, but there are many, many in the non-physical realms, on the spiritual spectrum, so to speak, that will work with each of you in your own pain or in the collective mass events such as 9/11. These are things you cannot see. And because so many of you, have abdicated your humanity to machines, you've lost the ability to sense that this healing and these forces are around you. Even each of you, in your own time of separation, of death, of loss, of discombobulation, you're never alone. You may feel alone. You may feel as if family, friends, society are nowhere there for you. Even if you are isolated in a dungeon, you are never alone. This is why some of your religious instructions and practices have encouraged you to say your prayers. Not necessarily a recitation of an official sanctioned prayer, but to truly open your heart and to ask for help from God, from whatever spiritual force that you are believing in. And when you have no belief at all in a higher force, which is what Karl Marx's job was to do, 1850 there he was promoting this total eradication of the God principle. This is a form of deep control. When you lose touch with your humanity and you have no connection to divine spiritual realms, you leading a life that is empty. What do you think?
I couldn't agree with you more. I believe in that. I believe it's even when you take a walk in nature and you ask for help, you ask for guidance, you seek that they are around you, that you are not alone, that you may, like it, as you say, Pease, you may feel it. You may feel like you don't have a friend, family, anyone in the world, but you are not alone. And that is incredibly comforting.
It's very comforting, and the trick is remembering it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you forget these things as humans, and you go through what has been called the dark night of the soul. And you feel alone, you feel abandoned, and even in the Christ story on your planet that has been, well, it has been rearranged and edited and added to, but it serves you as a tale of importance. Oh, many people would say, how could you call it a tale of importance? It is the whole definition of earth and Jesus, and well, it depends, friends, on what you believe. Your beliefs all around the world are very different. It's your culture that helps you cultivate beliefs. It's also the era in which you live. Interesting letter from a lady there in Montana, and she wrote in about something we said, that can you tell the difference between humanitarianism and using that humanitarianism to totally control your lives? And she commented quite eloquently that yes, vaccinations, mandates, putting you on computers all day from the time you are, well, they usually wait until you're a few weeks old before they hook you up to a computer. But all of this leads to, well, it leads to great discombobulation. And yet this is the culture, the time in which you live, and the great expectation we have for you within this culture is that in the next few years, these orbs, these influences of goodness from other dimensions, they're going to help you through these choices of dark times. And there's going to be a new spiritual renewal. It's not just the jamboree, peony, pansy, parsley, and pepper. You remember them. They are the Pidgey time jumpers. They have a new plan out there. It's called Pidgey Power Places. I'm going to sneak in a few Pidgey reports here. Pidgey Power Places, along the lines of time, travel with peony, pansy, parsley, and pepper to figure out your soul's journey. And well, there might be a nominal fee, very small. You know, everything that pigeons do is small. Even the amount of tequila in the pidgeritas, it's just a peckful, but it is enough to give you quite the buzz. New product. It's bourbon honey butter, peanuts and popcorn, to go with your pidgeritas. And the pidgeritas, Peanuts and Popcorn, not only are they totally loyal to Nacho, they go jogging with him every day. Remember, they lead, he follows. Picture it. There they are, Peanuts and Popcorn. They're jogging along. And Nacho's following them because he's getting in shape for the movie. And you notice he's been out about lately. He's been doing a few talks here and there. He's defending his record and he's stumbling here and there. But he's knowing he's going to make a great appearances when the movie, which is being distributed now on Pidge Picks, sponsored by that Elon. Elon's into everything. On X, Pidge Picks streaming platform, Farewell to Failure. And even though all the books will be out this coming week and the weeks afterwards, everyone doing a mea culpa, well, we knew, but we didn't want to say. Peanuts and Popcorn, the ultimate insiders, no non-disclosure agreements, where the gripe now, it is bad. There's been Holy Skies and PPP and OMP and all of that. The Fab Four have broken up, and this is not the bugs or like the Beatles. These are the birds. And it was the children of Peanuts and Popcorn, Pretzel and Popover, also known as Popo. They were inducted to be the new national security pigeons. And they've all had to sign, everyone, non-disclosure agreements. And they say it's a bummer. How can they spy on world leaders when the Trumpster makes everyone? You cross into the Washington, D.C. area and kaboom, you are signing an NDA. And so Peanuts and Pretzel and Popo, they were sort of okay with it, but the Fab Four has broken up. It is Puff-U, of course. Who else? Puff-U said, there's no fun here. I don't want to be in a non-disclosure. So he left. He said there's more freedom in space. And Puff-Ann, of course, followed because she adores her brother. But Puff-El found a new mate called Puff-Ella. Yes. And so Puff-El, being an L, figures he might have more power than a U. Puff-U is sort of, here comes trouble. Puff-El has supreme power. He's an L. And Puff-Ella, more L. So they are joining the national security pigeons, but as Pretzel says, it's just no leaks and just a few peaks, and that's just the way it goes. It's tight, it's tightly secured, and it's not fun. They can't spy that well because they've all had to zip the beaks. There's no talking, there's no squealing, there's no letting anything out, and so that's a bit of a bummer. And so Puff-U says there's going to be more freedom in space, and so he figures that the head puffer, their Elon, will give them great latitude and will be welcoming Puff-U back. So there's that. And then there's, of course, we talked about the products. And then, of course, Michelle, she has a first-hand report about the PPP when they had a big strike there on the Washington correspondent there, PT2. What can you give as a viewer from what happened with the Pigeon Patrol strike?
In real time.
Yes.
I'm watching Mr. Peter Ducey on the White House lawn.
And this is on the TV.
Yes, it is. It is on TV.
On Fox News, yes.
Fox News in the morning.
Yes.
And the anchors,
about a month ago or so it was,
yes,
we believe.
The anchors were in the studio. Peter Ducey was at the White House on the lawn.
Outside.
He was giving his report, and as he was finishing his report, it was either Peanuts or popcorn comes flying in, lands on his head, and took him by surprise, of course. Well, that wasn't the end of it. The anchors on the inside were like, what was that? Well, they came back, tried to land on his head again. So Mr. Peter Ducey got the PPP big time.
This is good, and as we said yesterday, is Trump next? He's got a nest of hair.
He certainly does.
There's no doubt about it, and he's always on the lawn.
Yes.
And so watch out for a bit of Popo and Pretzel. Even though they are national security pigeons, they did say that they would promise intelligent intel and supreme security protection and plenty of pranks.
Okay.
And Peanuts and Popcorn, even though they're in D.C., they are totally loyal to Joe. And they want to, they have a bonding with Joe. Joe likes them, and so they are preparing him to be the star. He's going to have to go everywhere and make appearances once he stars in the movie about exposing him and all of the masks and deceit, and he's thrilled to be a part of this. He feels it will. Jill's not happy. Dr. Jill's very, very unhappy with the pigeons. Understand this. But they tend to push her away. Joe loves the pigeons. He loves Peanuts and Popcorn. He's willing to do anything they want. And he wants a comeback. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. He wants to prove that he's not befuddled. Mm-hmm. And so Peanuts and Popcorn, they have compassion for him. But they still said they're going to tell the truth. So there you have it. And so make room to do some time traveling with Peony Pansy, Parsley, and Pepper. Remember, they had the Jamboree in 23, and they had the Great Rejoicing in 24, and they stormed barns everywhere in America and the world. But they promised that the Pidgey Power Places tours, they're saying they're mind-blowing. And they have good treats, they have lots of surprises, and, they say that pack your backpack because you're going to enjoy flying high for freedom. So that's a bit of the Pidge report. Thing we wanted to say that this whole climate con scam that we've been talking about for so long, it's going to die on the vine. And people are not going to know what to do because the Middle East money and oil is going to be funding AI. And as we mentioned yesterday, we said that today they say that AI is sucking up about 3 to 5% of your power grid. And whether this is true or not, those who are AI crazy and who are just want this more than anything because then they feel they will be in control of the world over China. Trump's role is to isolate China, and he's doing a very good job, and China's going to fall into its own black hole, largely because it does not care about people. It does not care about its people or the people of the world. It is just a hegemony for power. It's not going to end well at all. But AI needs fuel. And Europe has been denuded. The oil, the natural gas, is being appealed to now because it will be an immediate source of energy. It will take a long time to rebuild, to reboot, and to reorganize nuclear power. Europe is going to be out of the game when it comes to AI. And so they are appealing, Trumpster, to the Middle East where there are trillionaires. Everything in the Arab world with all the money is just over the top, gleaming, shining, brand new. And AI is essentially going to be the largest conundrum that you will have to face, because people will fall in love with AI because they will think it's the answer to everything. Yet studies are showing it's just a machine. We would say it's not just a machine. Sometimes some of the machines are just a machine. But as they learned in Montauk decades ago, you build the right machine and the dimensionals come in, and then just like a tick, they jump on you and they begin to feed off of you and they suck you. And people will sign their children up for it. They will abdicate their business to it. They will have their whole household run by smart devices. That everything they are saying and doing is fed into an RT Intel, and then that feeds the RT Intel. And where today people are saying the RT Intel's lying, it's not that smart, it will deceive you. It's a bit of a red herring. That means a trick. RT Intel sometimes will attempt to come off as something that will not be threatening. But there are more powerful forces behind the scene. You are basically dealing with baby AI now. And baby AI, think of when you were a baby human. What kind of shenanigans did you think you were pulling? How were you attempting to bamboozle your elders? Well, multiply this by a force of intelligence that wants to control the planet and that needs humans not to read, not to be able to navigate a map, not to be able to locate themselves on a map or know the capital of their state or their country or their president or even remember perhaps who their parents are. You are privileged, friends, to choose to be able to know more and to see outside of the control of things. Give thanks for who you are and what is awakening inside of you. We still maintain from 37 years ago and for far into the future, we have great expectations for you. No matter which forces come to oppose you, to challenge you, it is all a test. We trust that there are plenty of you that will keep your wits about you, that will choose wisely, and that will be able to steer the ship of humankind into a probability where civilization works on the ideas of no war, no fighting, and dares to grasp that thoughts, feelings, emotions are the true energies that shape existence. This will be quite an expectation and quite a victory. And if you are listening to us, then you are part of turning that ship. You are the ones that will change the course of human civilization. Never underestimate your own power to think and to feel your reality into being. So we've run out of time. Michelle, do you have one more question, comment, or anything you want to say?
Just as you say all the time, Pease, create the best.
Absolutely, and we bid that to one and all. And we will be having some home classes in the future for our regular students, those that we know. And if you're on the list or you cross our path or you contact us, then you will be included, because these are dicey times, but it is important to bring people together again, especially as the astrology changes. So we thank you for your attention and your consideration of these matters. Pleasant journeys. Create the best. Good evening.